dude, we're like it's the same stuff. I'm wearing a hoodie. You're wearing a hoodie. You're bald. I'm bald. You're wearing glasses. I'm wearing glasses. I've got skin on my body. You've got skin on your body. Like exactly the same.
It's a pretty low bar, Jeremy.
What? I think that's pretty miraculous.
You're setting a ridiculous bar.
Yeah, you're right. It is ridiculous. Ridiculously high.
The top of your head is so bulbous.
Hey, your head is bulbous. Mine is pointy. Look at the pointy. It's pointy. It's like a lemon. That's why I want to get that tattoo.
With a butt chin?
Yeah, look at that. It's kind of it's going away because of the fat.
With the butt of the lemon as your chin?
Yeah, dude, I need to get that butt chin like and me, myself, and Irene, where he gets the
Spartacus?
Yeah, Spartacus looking motherfucker.
There we go again. Unbelievable.
Take it back.
It's like you can't control yourself. This is continuously what you do in our relationship is you add work to what I do.
What?
If I'm going to edit out your profane language, that's work for me. Meanwhile, you just trot off to bed, gallivanting around without a care in the world while just inflicting work on me. It's churlish behavior at best.
How did I know that word was going to find its way into our discussion today?
It's completely applicable under this set of circumstances.
Churlish. Can you define that
word?
You
just can't control yourself is the problem.
I can.
Okay, then why have you not controlled yourself? In a single episode, not one episode. Not one episode have you controlled yourself.
You're one to speak. You're the same thing.
No.
Yes.
Have I used profanity today?
Today, I'm sure you have.
That sums it up.
I'm sure you have. Actually, didn't you tell me that you were trying to keep your mouth more clean, less potty mouth today? Or was that somebody else I was talking to?
Not me.
Oh, it was somebody else.
That's nothing to work towards when you're living it.
You are not living it.
Yes, I am.
Dude.
Yes, I am.
No, it's okay. Just admit it. Be honest. Be true. Be true to yourself. Be true to me. Be true to our listeners. Be true. And drink truly.
Well, in true form and fashion of who you are,
I am
pushing work away from you and onto another. Hence,
away from me onto you.
Yes, that's what you do.
I'm receiving this information and I'm giving it back.
Churlish.
What does that word mean? Can you define the word churlish for me, Bradford?
It's always with you.
Can you define it?
I will define it.
Don't look at your phone.
No, because I don't want anything held over my head. And if you're going to look up a definition, just look it up and be 100% right, which I will be. Of, resembling, or characteristic of churl. Vulgar.
Of churl. I find it humorous when definitions use their own word.
The word. And that's from Merriam-Webster.
Merriam? What?
Yeah. Merriam-Webster.
Brad, we are two cool dudes.
Here's from Cambridge Dictionary. Is that a respected source?
That's reputable.
Churlish, an adjective. Rude, unfriendly, and unpleasant. All three of those things. It has to meet a criteria of 3, Jeremy. Rude, unfriendly, unpleasant. All defining you In one simple word, churlish.
Do we have hitchhiker's thumbs, Brad?
Oh my God.
I refuse to listen to this nonsense. I am not any of those three things. I'm not rude. I might be crude, but I'm not rude. Okay?
You really have some gall.
What are you talking about?
Gall is a noun.
I'm aware of what gall is.
Rudeness and the quality of being unable to understand that your behavior or what you say is not acceptable to other people. That nothing could be closer to the truth today. The gall you brought to this episode of the Briggity Bro Bobs, who we should clearly welcome everybody here. Jeremy's. Oh God.
You tried to sneak one in on me. Briggity. Bro. Bombs. I was getting all kinds of like cool in there. You tried to sneak it in on me though, so I wouldn't do that, and you failed. I was ready. I was waiting.
It's you go out of your way to be obnoxiously
Obnoxiously what?
arrogant about how you treat our listening audience.
How are you coming up with these set of words, Brad?
Obnoxiously is an adverb.
Yes.
And it's defined as in a very unpleasant or rude way. Again,
Brad, are you just looking up synonyms for rude?
no.
I think you are.
No.
Oh, Bradford. Oh,
Your offensiveness is gotten a bit out of hand tonight, Jeremy.
I've been offensive once with a crude word.
Well, offensiveness is a noun, and it's the quality of causing offense.
Yes,
So-
I'm glad you know your parts of speech, Bradford. Do you know them, or are you just reading them off?
What you're doing here is sass.
I mean, possibly, yeah. Look,
It's a noun. It's the talk or behavior that is rude and shows no respect.
Brad, is this what we're doing? Is this our shtick for today?
No, Jeremy. Why don't you regale us in the stories of your weekly training, please, Jeremy?
I weekly trained for 5 miles this week. Is that correct?
Last week. Last week.
Monday, yeah. Last week. So this is wrong. For as many times as you berate me for saying this is an auditory podcast, you're over here doing like crazy gestures with your fist attached to
Jeremy, you're not supposed to announce that to the listening audience. I was giving you cues that you were talking about last week, not this week.
But you said last week and then you started doing the cues. It doesn't work if you're doing this and then you say it.
This is last week and this is this week. No, this is this week. That's next week.
Next week?
Next week? This last week? This week?
This week I'm hoping to do better than I did last week.
Did you run today?
I didn't. It's been it has been raining craziness this all day today, so I wasn't going to do that. Plus, it's been an exceptionally busy day.
Jeremy, tell me more. Tell me more.
I got home 25 minutes ago. I left my house, and I left my house at 6:40 or 6:30 this morning, 6:25 this morning.
Whoa!
So it was a long day.
Whoa!
Yeah, so I didn't run today, but last week, some stuff is going on in my life. I think the things that are that is happening in my life are affecting my ability to run. There's a lack of motivation.
A lack of motivation?
A lack of and even when I get out the door, there's a lack of physical motivation.
Physical motivation?
Yeah.
Mentally, I assume, and physical.
Mental
And physical.
Plus, there's no drive.
No drive?
The drive being that I want to just push through whatever obstacles are in my way.
No drive.
That's gone. But I'm hoping that maybe things will start to pick up a little bit here in a second or this week.
Oh, so not a fourth.
No, I think
just three things.
Yeah.
Drive, physical motivation, mental.
I guess all of that is considered.
It would be a triangle. I bet it'd be a triangle.
Subcategories of all the same thing. I think motivation is the header, and then offshooting from that are three similar things. So the motivation is just not there. It's not that I don't want to run. I do, but getting myself out the door is a feat of extraordinarily strange.
You don't get pumped up watching David Goggins videos?
No, fuck David Goggins.
Nobody. Jeremy.
Sorry. Hump him. Hump David Goggins. He just.
This is sass.
Jesus Christ. Dude, hump David Goggins. Okay, because that guy, he does.
You can't just put it simply. I don't like David Goggins.
I think humping him.
You want to show him domination by physically humping him? That, Jeremy, not only is it sass, it's a bit sus.
No, look, he does some extraordinary things. But
I think what would be extraordinary is you humping him.
I mean, I think that would be extraordinary. But his messaging, I think, is all weird. It's just too much. It's just too much. You know what I think it is? I think it's too much. So anyway, yeah. So there's just a lot of things going on, mental and physical things going on that are keeping me from being at my utmost. And I'll get through it. It's not a big deal. It's kind of one of those things that life, it's like a winding road that has some hills and some other things too. And it feels like I've been going up a hill for the past 3 months.
Well, here's something, Jeremy. Running uphill's good for you. It reduces stress it reduces the impact forces on your leg while developing speed, efficiency. There's a number of running benefits for running uphill, Jeremy. So
you also have to have a break from running up the hill in order for those benefits to show themselves. So I felt like the past couple months has just been a constant uphill without a whole lot of recovery ability. Although I have been doing nothing but recovering because I haven't been running.
No running, Jeremy?
I've been running a little bit. But that's it. I hope that this week brings me double digits again.
Ooh.
Finally. Next
week, 10 miles?
Next week.
Maybe 10 miles?
Next week, I'm pretty positive that I'll get double digits. I'm definitely positive I'll get double digits next week.
Yeah.
Next week. You know why?
Why, Jeremy?
You gotta race.
Hot dog.
So how's your running been this week, Brad? Last week. Not this week, but last week. Why is your chair so squeaky, dude?
Because these are like the cheapest chairs that we've ever bought.
Fair enough.
And we've only had them in the basement, and now they're basically like Louis, our cats, his clawing stations.
So those are basement chairs.
They're basement chairs.
They look like a grandmother chair. That chair looks like you honestly look like you belong there. You look like an 85-year-old grandmother. I mean,
I don't think so, Jeremy.
I'm pretty sure you do.
Your churlishness is showing itself again.
I think you need to find some more words. Go back to the thesaurus and get us some more words. But tell us about your running. Last week.
It went well. More importantly to me, for tonight's episode, last week I didn't run that much. I only ran 3 days. All good. 11-miler in there. Felt fantastic. Probably because I peaked for it.
Truth.
And then I'm in this week. You know what I'm going to start incorporating, though? We're less than 16 weeks out from grandma's.
Okay, so what are you going to start incorporating, Bradford?
This has worked for me in the past.
Okay.
And then I'm going to get into a pet peeve from what worked for me. Pet peeve. Pet peeve. I'm going to start doing double long runs.
I thought you were going to say double unders.
No.
Jump roping.
So Saturday long run, Sunday long run.
One longer than the other or equidistant?
I'll do... I think I'm going to move my Saturday long run to Sunday. And I'm going to start then, like, I'm not going to start doing both of them even at the same time. I'm going to build up my Saturday long run. So at some point, I'll be doing, say at the end of the training load, 15 miles, 13 to 15 miles on Saturday with a 20-mile long run on Sunday.
Holy crapola, Bradford.
So, and
you're gonna have 3 long runs a week?
2.
You're gonna have a midweek long run.
That's a workout, though. That's not really a midweek.
That's a long. That's 35, 50 miles of long runs.
No, I wouldn't be doing a 15-mile run on Wednesday.
13 or 12 is possible.
No, I doubt it. I would think somewhere 8 to 10.
That's not long. That's a mid-distance run.
Okay. And so, one of the coaches that I have a ton of respect for is, what are their names? David Roche. And why can't I think of his wife's name?
David Goggins.
No. Anyways,
DeVita.
they train a bunch of ultra runners. I'd reached out to them, or should I say they reached out to me, wanted to train me.
They did not.
So there was a conversation.
Where are they housed? Where do they run their business?
Colorado.
Oh, you should move there.
Yeah. So they're both distance runners. She's a doctor. He was an attorney, like a lawyer by trade. Anyways, they coach a ton of ultra marathoners.
Okay.
And if you look historically at from Jim Walmsley to Killian Jornet to pretty much every distance run, every ultra runner, when prepping for ultra marathons, they do back-to-back long days.
Yeah.
So the goal of it is that you're breaking up the long run into 2 pieces, so you're getting some recovery. You're reducing your susceptibility to injuries, but you're running on tired legs to simulate what it's going to be like on the back half of a race. And so I reached out to the Roaches, asked them for coaching. I mean, there was a conversation about them coaching me, and they referred me to somebody else. and this person coached me, and like we immediately went into double long runs, so
Yeah.
2 long runs a weekend, and it like fitness went through the roof just like overnight.
Huh. Interesting. And it's definitely something that we should do in preparation for our ultras when we're getting
Yeah,
there. Like that will be beneficial for sure.
yep. I think Killian Jornet says do it's something insane, something like 70% of your weekly mileage should be done between the 2 long runs. So
That's not
based
hard
off,
for us right now. Well, at
well,
least for
true.
me.
So, but think about that. If you're training 100-mile week, you'd have to do a 35 and a 35-mile long run
We're,
back to
we're
back.
like we're at 25, 45, whatever, you know. Um, yeah, it's a lot.
What I think the goal is, in particular for ultra running, is to break up like that huge
Even?
segment even. Yeah,
Huh. What's the benefit of that versus having one day longer than the other?
it's all about time on your feet. So there's all those studies done as far as I think it might be 3 hours, but you get these. I think this is one of the difficult reasons of training slower marathoners, is because if you're running, say, 11-minute pace, how difficult is it to get up a long run that you're not running over 3 hours?
Yeah.
And so like maybe you're only able to get them in 3 hours to get up to 16 miles. And that 3 hour cutoff is the amount of time that one, just like keeping calories on board for 3+ hours becomes extremely difficult. The likelihood, like your percentage of injuries goes up exponentially after 3 hours. Like there's a finite cutoff where you're not really getting any return, but the likelihood of getting an injury after 3 hours goes up infinitely.
So that being said, I guess you couldn't technically do 35 miles. Nobody's doing 35 miles in 3 hours.
Killian Jornet sure is.
No, he is not.
What do you
You
think he's
know
running a 35-mile run for? Well,
that.
so maybe we put a caveat. So that's an interesting question. So in a marathon, you're probably not running the same way that you do in trails.
No, I would venture to say like most people who are training marathons are training on the roads. They're training
Yeah.
at a significantly faster pace than they're going to for an ultra. Outside of like the super elites, right? Like the super elites are obviously just running fast all the time. But for most average people, I would venture to say we would be a minute and a half slower per mile on the trails prepping for an ultra than we would be out on a
Right.
road prepping for a marathon.
Yeah.
I mean, at least that's what I would think. I haven't done it yet.
And so you've been one of the things that's been frustrating for me, not last week, but just kind of in totality of this running, is you hit this, in particular for, I think, runners like you and I that have a background in running, you hit this critical point where, say, for a period of 3 months, maybe even less than that, every run just sucks. So, but you talk to yourself and you understand, okay, like it's worth just taking walking breaks so that I can extend the time on my feet. Like there's no pressure involved. I can be running as slow as 10 to 30 miles. And if I have a good day, make sure that it's backed up with a recovery day. And then you hit some point where every day, like you can see that the runs are getting easier and easier and easier. And every day feels like there's some necessity to run a pace in there, to run
Yeah.
an amount of time. Like if you say go out and run 40 minutes, you say, well, I want to get in 5 miles in that 40 minutes instead of just saying, well, it's 40 minutes, whether I finish 3.5 miles or 4.5 miles. What's the difference? Like there's really no advantage to squeezing in 5 miles in 40 minutes.
Nope. Especially for those of us who are not as fit as we could be or should be, or where 8 minutes feel like is close to threshold, right? Or whatever it may be. We don't need to be doing that. Yes.
And so I found when I was training for grandmas, I peaked way too early for grandmas. I think I peaked probably close to 5 weeks out before the race.
Damn. So how fast do you think you could have run? 53?
Well, I think easily on that day, if I didn't have watch problems, that I was in like 255, 256 pace,
Okay.
like comfortably. So, and the reason I say that is like I stopped my watch at one point during the race. So what I was doing, I had it on auto lap, and then I was also doing a manual lap when I hit the mile.
Yeah.
Uh, because inevitably it seems like the auto lap goes off before the actual mile hits. And
That's
what's
the
it
way
matter, the auto lap, when the course is marked? Like, you have to finish the course. You don't get to just stop when you hit 26.2 miles.
you should.
Right. Yeah. I've thought about it. And so stopped it instead of lapping it at mile 1. And I had no idea how long that was. And then looked down, my watch wasn't running. And so then I had no idea I basically just wasn't looking at any mile splits anymore. And so in the middle of the race, I cranked it down. There was like a number of 635 miles in there.
Yeah.
And then the last 3 miles I was running, I think I averaged 649 pace, 648, 647, somewhere just under 650 for the entire time. And in the last 3 miles, I was giving up like a minute 30 per mile over my average pace. So
That's
you
a
figure
lot.
there's probably like 4.5 minutes just from bad
Yep.
pacing through the last 3 miles.
Yep. Yep. That's
So
you couldn't you didn't just calm yourself down and say, okay, I'm just gonna hit the splits at every mile and still give you the pace.
no, honestly, I vividly remember having a bit of a panic attack when I noticed that my watch wasn't running.
Yeah.
And it was less of a panic attack, like, what do I do? And it was more a panic attack that, man, this really sucks, because it was going to look awesome on Strava. Like, I want to know, what all the metrics were. And,
Yeah.
when you get used to seeing data at every single point, I knew my data was, I didn't know if it was 5 seconds or it was off for 3 minutes.
Oh, sure.
So I was thinking, man, this is really going to suck. I know I'm going to run sub 3 today, and now my watch is messed up. And so what I did to collect myself and finish the race in the best fashion that I knew, I just said, well, listen, you have a pretty good sense of what the paces should be. Just send it. You don't know. Basically, it's fast enough that every mile is uncomfortable. The first mile is pretty easy because you're kind of weaving through people, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
But after 5K, any way you skin it, for us, sub 7 it's uncomfortable, especially when you know you have 23 miles left.
Oh yeah, that gets daunting too.
And so I said, well, listen, I don't know what I have today, but today could be, I think I'm in 255 shape. Goal is to break 3. I blindly assume 3 is happening no matter what. So, but maybe this is a 252 day. Maybe this is a 249 day. So just run and see what happens. Yeah. So I saw a bunch of 630, 635s clicking off, and I was like, well, I don't really see essentially that match has already been burned.
Yeah.
So just keep rolling with it.
And then there you are running 8-minute pace, 8:15 pace. That's pretty cool.
And it was an absolute snap of your fingers.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the marathon for you too. I mean you could have been perfectly on pace for what you wanted to do, and that last 3 miles could have been maybe not 8:20 pace, but it could have easily have been 7:30 pace.
Yeah, if I was telling somebody or coaching somebody, I would say, well, listen, the likelihood of it not coming apart in the last few miles is probably slim to none. So in the last 3 miles is going to suck anyways. So
Always.
I put together a training schedule. Stephanie's training for the Cleveland half marathon. And she had done her longest run the week before. So 2 weeks ago from this
Yeah.
Saturday. And she ran 9 miles.
Okay.
And when she talked about the last 9 miles, how'd the run go? I think she averaged maybe 9:17
That's
for
really fast.
9 miles,
That's great.
just out there by herself, a few hundred feet of a couple hundred feet or 300 feet of elevation on the run. And she's like the last 2 miles just sucked. Like it was hard to get to 9 miles. I said, yeah, that's just every long run's the same.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, what am I doing next week? So this is now last week. And I said, well, now you got 10 miles. And so I ran, I think, 7.5 miles with her. And she's like, once you left, I was already feeling bad, but those last 3 miles were just beyond miserable.
Yeah.
How can it go from 9 miles feeling bad to 10 miles feeling just as bad? I said, because that's just the way every run is. Every long run is the exact same.
That's right.
So you're just getting a little fitter.
That's right. So what's her goal for the half?
She ran with
she did the race?
No. She ran with no training. Let's think. This would have been probably 14. No, 12 years ago. I think it was pre-Levi, the ET full moon half marathon. It was probably something like 13 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, yeah.
So 13 years ago, she was 13 years younger, but she ran 2:05.
Okay.
About there. Her goal was to run sub 2, but she did no training plan. She did no nothing. So she asked me to put together weekly schedules for her. And now she did a couple of runs and she's like, there's no way that I can run sub 2. And I said, just give it time. One, you're going to be peaked for the race. We'll get into it. It's all good. I think you got sub 2 in you. And she's finally coming around to it. I think sub 2, it's going to be hard, but I think she can do it.
A goal should be hard, right? Should be challenging, but not out of the realm of possibility, right? That's kind of the purpose of a goal. It should challenge you. If it's easy, it's not necessarily a goal, I don't think.
What's that stupid old saying, aim for the stars and you'll land on the moon?
Something like that. Yeah.
So
aim for the moon and you'll land with the stars, or
that makes no sense. There's no stars in between us and the moon.
Hey, listen, I didn't say that there was. We can aim for the sun and we'll burn up. That's what I'm about. Did you see
melt your wings right off, Icarus?
That's my wings.
Okay. All right.
That's my wings, Brad. You're so stupid tonight. This is ridiculous.
So I was just giving all of this quote unquote running advice. You know what absolutely drives me mad on social media?
What's that, Brad? You seem to have a really big chip on your shoulder about social media.
I do. About social media?
Yeah.
I think
exercise influence in particular, those guys kind of bug you.
Well, one, it seems like everybody is an exercise influencer. People that are running 5-hour marathons are giving advice on marathons, and it's not advice of this is what worked for me. It's this is what you need to do to run a 4-hour and 45-minute marathon.
Well, they know from experience, Brad. Would you trust me for telling you how to run a 3-hour marathon? I haven't done it.
Again, I don't think it's the fact that you haven't done it. I don't think that you have to be a good runner to be a good coach.
Okay.
So, but you have to have done some studying of how to be a coach, what works, what doesn't, and understanding that every single body is different. So what's applicable to you might not be applicable to me. It might be applicable to 90% of the population. It might be applicable to 10%.
Katie, what are you doing? Yes. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Don't worry about us. We're just filming a podcast.
She said we'll be okay. Perfect timing, dude.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
You would think... Would you think that was like a 300-pound overweight man falling down the stairs? No, it's my 87-pound daughter barnstorming down the stairs.
Why is she in the basement?
I am asking myself the exact same question.
Why are you in the basement, Kira?
Jeremy, do you not see that I'm wearing...
Wait, what flavor is that?
Best ice cream flavor.
What flavor?
Churro.
He's asking you... This is what's amazing. He is asking you questions while I'm wearing headphones.
And I can hear it.
See,
So, he's the person that sits next to me on the plane while I'm listening on my noise-canceling headphones, and he's like, what did he just say on your show there? What was that?
Show the photo of the foot.
What foot?
That guy you sat next to.
Oh, I should show you a video. I take pictures of people on planes that are disgusting.
Of course you do, Brad.
This dude had the longest toenails you've ever seen, wearing sandals and just putting his feet out into the walk. It was foul.
Did you pull out some toenail clippers and
Wouldn't touch him.
What about that guy at the hockey game?
Oh yeah, I got a real good picture of this creeper at a hockey game. I don't know why she feels that, like, why she's spurring me to tell stories. So, but
I would be a great podcaster.
We shoot, yeah. We share camera, like we shared a camera roll for, I don't know, basically until she turned a teenager. So maybe a couple of years ago. And so I had this picture of this real creeper at a hockey game, and he just had this big glob of like cheese or mayonnaise hanging off of his mouth, and he's just looking at you. Again, this is an auditory experience, so I'm not sure what my face is going to do for this, but he's just like, and so what had happened is we were invited out by a vendor for business. And so they got us these amazing seats to a Tampa Bay Lightning hockey game. And this creeper that was on the other side of one of the hosts, who was a female, everything, he would just like chime into our conversations like, oh, really? That's interesting. I never thought of that. And he would never talk to the males. He would only talk to the woman.
Oh, wow.
And so I had to snap a picture because he was a real creep.
Sounds like it. Hey, give me a second. I've got to go
He looked,
the back light.
You know who he looked like?
Me?
No, this person.
Oh!
Kira. He looked like Creed from The Office.
Oh, yeah? But with beard?
No, just a big goober of mayonnaise.
Ew, that's even worse. I thought maybe he
this
was
is
like
why
beard.
I need to be on the podcast, because I spur conversations.
Kira, get out of here.
I spur conversations.
Great. Spur yourself back to bed.
When I come downstairs, did that not start a new convo? Yes.
Okay.
And I just started a whole nother one that you're going down a whole rabbit hole, and this wouldn't have been graced. Ew! The weirdest angle. Put that in post edit. Oh shoot, my ice cream.
So, anyways, back to my rant. I am so annoyed with these people that have no training credentials, No coaching credentials.
Should they be USATF certified, Brad? Is that the credentials they need?
I think it would help.
Okay. Continue.
The thing is, like it's just saying, well, listen, like I should be a college professor.
Okay. I think you could, Brad. I mean, look, you
don't need any credentials for being a college professor.
Did you go to college?
Yes.
Done.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
So going to college then is good enough that you can be a running coach.
I mean, did you run before? If you ran before, then yeah. Like if you've only run a 5K, why couldn't you coach somebody to run a 50K? It's only 10 times farther.
So do you think that everybody is a good coach? Like if you run, now you're a good coach?
No, not at all. I don't think everybody's been taught. I don't think anybody can be a good teacher.
Okay. So why is everybody on social media have to give their running advice?
Because it's
and
social
I don't
media.
mind the running advice of saying like this works for me.
Because it's social media, Brad. That's the purpose of it, to put yourself out there with some kind of ethos that allows or makes people feel comfortable with what they're listening to, right? Like if you don't have that like mentality of making yourself come off as some kind of expert, then
so it's just fake it till you make it.
Yeah. And I think people are gullible enough to listen to it. Like you can't fault them for doing it if people are listening to it.
It just annoys me.
So is it just people who say, look, this is what I've done and that's what you should do too? That's the only thing that annoys you about it?
So it annoys me that they use their credentials of just running slow as I know how to teach you.
You are coming off as an asshole. I'm sorry I said it, but running slow, does it matter how fast they run?
It doesn't. So why not just say, like, so instead of saying the reason you should listen to me is because I ran a 5.5 hour marathon. The reason you should listen to me is because, like, I've studied this. These are the things that I've tried. This is what's worked. This is what hasn't worked. It's half of these people. I've run one 5.5 hour marathon, and now I'm an expert.
I've trained for 12 weeks and I've run a 5.5 hour marathon, and now No, I get that. Why are you hating on them though so much?
Because it just annoys me that you do something like, and so think of everybody that's done 5 marathons or 20 marathons, and they've done everything right and it just bonked, or just the proverbial, you've already ruined the episode. So the proverbial shit the bed in a marathon, in a race.
Brad.
I know.
Surely.
And those experiences are worth something. Doing something one time, like me going to fencing once and saying, well, listen, I'm a fencing expert now. Like, I went to a fencing lesson. I mean, you might as well say that stupid, like I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Well, that's it. But you've been to more than one fencing lesson now, so I think that you're pretty well versed in being able to, like, pull somebody off the street and say, hey, let me teach you some stuff about fencing.
So I think specifically with running, I think you see more fitness influencers that, like, have just started running, and
Maybe
they're
hybrid athletes. Maybe they found success elsewhere.
And they think, because I think that everybody thinks because running is relatively, like, they assume it to be non-nuanced, or like that there's nothing that goes into training for it. It's like, just keep showing up.
That's number one. That's David Goggins for you. Just keep showing up, doing it, run through injury, run through pain, just run until you can't run anymore and then continue to run. That's what we want, right?
No. So I would honestly say, in light of, I feel like this has been my tirade here for half of our episodes. It's now systematic of culture that because we have so much accessibility to information, everybody thinks that they're an expert at everything. Like,
So
I
what do you
know a lawyer said don't do that, but do they really know what they're talking about?
well, think about all of the people.
I read online.
Well, think about all the people who pull the whole like, um, they're not citizens of the United States. They're not driving when they get pulled over. They're just like they're pulling that bullshit where they try to
I don't
follow
even
the
know
law.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's people who say that they're not like they are sovereign citizens. That's it. Like they don't belong to the United States. They're just like all this stuff because they found this on the internet. So they try to pull this shit with police, and like then they end up getting yanked out of the car and arrested because they don't do anything that they're being asked because they're sovereign and they get to dictate what they do.
And I will, with almost 100% certainty, guarantee you that these are the same people that when somebody gets shot, that's a minority, they say, listen, when a cop pulls you over, you just do, like, if they just listen to the cop, they wouldn't get shot.
Maybe, I don't know. These people, I don't think would say that. Um, but like, where do you think this whole mentality of like, I don't know. I think I don't know where I'm going with this, but it feels to me like this has started a while before even social media became a thing, with like Dean Karnazes, right?
Yep.
He became super big because one day he just decided to go out for a run and ended up running however far, crazy amount of distance. But he's not the norm. But everybody looks at it and says, "Oh, well, if that worked for him, it can work for me." He became like this big celebrity. People started listening to him like he is the be all and the end all of everything that's running, and they stopped like asking the important questions, like, "Is this the appropriate thing for me to do?" And they just listen. Like they stop thinking and they just listen. Like the critical thinking piece, I think, especially with exercise, is you see somebody who has done it. They obviously know more than I do because I haven't. Let me listen without like taking it in, questioning a little bit of it, and then making it apply to myself.
Like, what makes this person an expert?
Yeah. Like Dean Karnazes is a great runner. Doesn't mean that he knows everything he's talking about. Maybe he does. Maybe he does. But
Haven't a lot of his feats been disputed?
I don't know. I just know that he became a big celebrity. I read his one book, the one book that came out like during the peak of his like fame. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Just like now the new thing is what David Goggins, right? Everybody's like David Goggins, but they don't stop to actually think like maybe he's kind of full of shit. Sorry, David, if you're listening, you're kind of full of shit. I think you know that though.
And why is he full of shit?
Just again, his messaging I think is a little off.
His philosophy is off. So why does that make him full of shit if he believes in his philosophy?
Because people listen to him. That makes him full of shit. He should. If you are going to be, a spokesperson for a sport or for I don't know, a theory of something, then at least acknowledge that it's not a one shoe fits all type of philosophy. I think that's the issue. Is again, you're talking about these people who say, well, this worked for me. It's no different for David Goggins because he doesn't say this, like he says, this works for me. You should go out and do it too. At least look, have I gone down a deep dive onto David Goggins? No. But I have experienced probably 10 different, iterations of his messaging, and I just I don't necessarily agree with it. But he's a better runner than I am. He's definitely more famous than I am. At least for right now. Who knows when Briggity Bro Bobs blow up? People start listening to me. Maybe not. Maybe not.
So we were talking about, I think it was in the last episode, I was going off on hybrid athletes.
Yeah.
And we talked about, like, I think there's a large percentage of runners that you run against at any given local race that are using some hormone replacement therapy.
Yeah.
Whether it's steroids or something like that. So this was in 2019, Testosterone level testing and testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, prescriptions have tripled in recent years. So, and that was in 2019. So think about what it's like now.
Look,
and that was up to upwards of 3% of the male population.
I don't know if obviously technology is always listening. They take in everything, all that. But I started getting directed ads at testosterone therapy stuff. So I started seeing stuff like, what is going on here? I don't think I suffer from low T, but they were like, oh, low T this and low T that, and I'm getting inundated with these low testosterone.
Even on Sirius XM, they've got not specific TRT through a doctor, but it's this is a testosterone booster, this daily supplement from GNC. So I think it's become more and more commonplace if you listen to people like Joe Rogan has talked about his use of TRT. Dr. Peter Attia, who's one of the biggest podcasters in the world, does TRT. That dude, Derek with More Plates, More Dates, has an entire business about helping people monitor and then prescribe TRT.
Yeah.
These are all people with major social media relevancy.
Yeah.
Saying that it this is the new fountain of youth for 40-plus-year-olds.
It sounds like we need to get on the train there, Bradford.
So go do whatever you want. I'll label you as a cheater if you ever happen to beat me.
No, whatever. If we both do it, you'll just probably have a better regimen than I do.
So, and again, you would not be upset if you weren't doing testosterone replacement therapy, and the reason you didn't get into Boston was because that 3% is the 3% that pulls down the mean average.
Maybe what's going on, Brad, is that I feel confident enough in myself without having to have the extra that I can just beat them anyway.
Okay, so that's well and good for you. What about the person that doesn't get in?
Well, fuck them.
And am I fully 100% correct when I say, A, you've never qualified for Boston anyways?
Brad, listen. The last time I would even float, I got sick. Couldn't even swallow my own spit sick. And then I looked my watch.
So you qualified.
My watch wasn't even on.
So I was confused. You have qualified before.
No, but I was in shape too.
Oh, okay. So, but I think the question was, have you qualified before?
No, but my own mentality, I know I can.
Okay. What's that have to do with qualifying? So you can just say, listen, I know that I was going to qualify. Go ahead and admit me, Boston.
No, but it's not about persuading somebody that I did or didn't, or that I could or couldn't. It's knowing myself and knowing what I'm capable of. And I know that if things go well and my training block goes well, then yes, I qualify regardless of if there are 3% or 10% of the people who are doing racing are taking testosterone. I can just do that.
And so in typical Jeremy, selfish and churlish, how you act.
Does it suck for those that are on the bubble? Yes. If I was on the bubble, would I be a little upset if I didn't think I could get past the bubble? Yes. But I think I can get past the bubble, so it just means I have to work harder, and it makes it that much sweeter.
So have you ever seen this study? I think it was maybe the 2000 Olympics, somewhere in there. Maybe in the 2000 Olympics. They had a anonymous test for every single Olympic athlete. And it was, do you use illegal steroids or not? It was just a yes or a no answer. 30% of the Olympians circled yes.
Wow.
And then the hypothesis was because the majority of those athletes then came out of the testing center and said, like, I don't trust that that's anonymous. Like, it
Right.
seems surely fishy that they're asking me as I'm about to give a drug test if I've ever used illegal drugs.
Yeah.
And so, what was the actual percentage?
I mean, you would think at least double.
I would think, yeah, like that would be probably a conservative number.
Yeah. So 60, 70%, possibly 80. Like, yeah, I don't know. Should we start implementing tests? If you don't fall within a specific criteria of like testosterone, then you don't get in because testosterone is cheating.
Say that again?
So, like for Boston, should they have to, along with their application, should they have to submit a piss test with like verifiable DNA sample to prove that they are indeed like the people who are submitting the tests?
What actually? What a great proposal! So listen. So when COVID hit, you used to have to provide your vaccination cards.
Yeah.
So what if, like, I don't think it's far-fetched to say, well, listen, if you're running a marathon to qualify for Boston and then going to spend the money to go to Boston, if you hit a qualifying time within,
it might be too prohibitively expensive though. Like there's some people who do those things, but they have like a super limited budget. So how much are we like?
So you're saying then a $30 urine test is going to be then the deciding factor?
No, $30 is not, but to have it tested, sent off, all that stuff, I would imagine it would be more than $30.
Yeah, so there's surely places, like every single time that one of my employees is in a car accident, or if there's suspected drug use, like it's $50 for us to send that person off for a piss test.
Yeah.
So is it going to be any different? Those things are obviously in every city.
True.
So you say $30, it like all we need is test for whatever it is. I don't know, like a regular testosterone. I'm not. So whatever it is, $30. You within 10 days after your qualifying race, you have to provide that sample. So, and that's part of the application process for world majors.
Yeah. Why not?
I think we need to implement this ASAP.
Okay. Well, Brad, I think what we need to do is like we need to expand our brand as well. I think we need to become race directors.
And we piss test everybody.
Everybody. I think.
And even if I just look at you and think you look a little sauced, out.
Yeah. I don't care if your piss test comes back like negative.
Yeah. Yeah.
Done.
You know why I don't believe you, sir? I don't have a biological passport on you.
Exactly. But I'm being serious there, Brad. I think we can most certainly make it happen.
I mean, we've run in races before. We're experts.
I didn't say we were experts. I'm sure that but I think between the two of us, we know enough people we could start asking around and getting some information and piecing together how to best go
That's
about
fair.
doing it.
That's fair.
So, like, it's not that we're experts necessarily, but we are we can be in contact with experts.
Yeah. And so think about it. So 30% of Olympians,
Yeah.
probably closer to 60 or 70%,
Yeah.
using steroids or some maybe it's
some
thyroid medication, something.
Some people would claim 100% of athletes who are in the Olympics have done something a little untoward.
I'd like to think that there's some percentage that's not, but
I don't know. Those people. So look, I'm going to say, like, you know how they do like the 100-meter dash for the countries? Like every country gets to have a person who does the 100, like can do the 100-meter dash. And they have those.
No.
Races. You don't know about this in the Olympics? Where every country has like an ability to send somebody. So
that's not true.
That for the most part. But they sent these countries send a person, right? And they can run, a girl can be a 14-second 100-meter runner, and they're out there like running on the Olympic stage. I don't think that those people are steroid users or cheaters.
Well, they've removed that.
Last year, the last Olympics, they didn't.
Who?
What do you mean, who?
Who was the slowest person at the Olympics?
Brad, did you watch those races?
Yes.
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 They didn't make it to the big stage, Brad.
I realized that.
What I'm saying is that was there.
So, but they hit a standard to get in the Olympics. Like, you have to have an Olympic standard to get even one person in. Yes, you do. Jeremy, have you ever seen Eddie the Eagle?
No, who's Eddie the Eagle?
He's a British ski jumper, that giant super jump.
Okay.
And he got into the Olympics. And then because he performed so terribly at the Olympics, they changed the rule that it's not just like they just kept moving the standard.
But Brad.
Yes.
That was all I had. I'm telling you, it still happens in track and field.
So then why can't Americans in the marathon send 3 runners?
Because we have people who can meet the standard. That's why.
So why doesn't...
And it's only in the 100,
Hold on.
Brad. It's not like every race. Not every race gets this.
So the 100 meters, it doesn't matter what you run. Like, if you're a country, you get to represent. The prelims would be 6 weeks of prelims.
It would not. No. They do it. Brad, look it up. Look it up. I'm telling you.
So why is every country not sending a representative in the 100?
Maybe because they don't want to.
Really? So nobody in that country, just like the Jamaican bobsled team, was like, listen, like, we want to go to the Olympics. Put me in 100. Ran a race. I'm the fastest in the country. Put me in.
I think they have to compete at some point in time in some kind of international race or something along those lines. There are some restrictions for sure, but I'm pretty sure that I know for a fact they don't have to meet the Olympic qualifying standard. I'm 100% sure about that. There are other standards they have to meet, I'm sure, but they don't have to meet the Olympic standard.
So really,
there are women out there running 14 seconds in the 100.
And it's just the 100 that it's a free-for-all.
That's it.
Just the 100.
Think about how innocuous the 100 is. Yes, they may
again, but it's the amount of prelims.
They might have to have 100 heats, but truly, it's 5 hours worth of racing. But they can disperse that over any number of days.
Jeremy,
it's not the big leagues. It happens before track and field really even takes off.
But Jeremy, then you're asking the best sprinters in the world to run extra heats because every country's sending one runner?
They're not in the same heat.
But if you win your heat, you get into the next round. Period.
No, you have to.
Yes, you do.
Brad. All right. Brad, I'm going to look this up when we're done. I'm going to look it up when we're done.
Done?
And I'm going to send you the information.
I can't wait.
I can't wait either.
So, did you watch any of the World Championships?
No, I didn't get a chance to.
I saw the prelims. So there was 2 4x400 heats.
Yeah.
And it was the heat USA needed to qualify top 2 to get to the finals.
Okay. Men or women?
Men. They came around, so there was 4 teams in the heat because it's indoor track.
Yeah.
They come around, and I'm sure you know this, but how do you get the positioning if you're the second leg? How do you know where to stand on the track?
It's dependent on where they are what a specific part of the race. So around the curve or whatever.
So basically when you're seeing them coming around, if USA is leading, you go lane number 1. If it changes in the last straightaway, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
So it's basically coming into the turn or halfway through the turn where it is, and you can shuffle. There's some flexibility afforded to athletes.
Right.
So, but then once it's in the straightaway, you hold your lane.
Yeah, that's it.
So, and the officials are there just to make sure that it doesn't get bunched up. If if last place is in the first lane, they'll move you out of the first lane, correct?
Yep.
So I think it was Belgium was the defending champion. Pretty sure it was Belgium. They're coming around and beating the United States. They
Okay.
move United States into lane 1, and then, mind you, Belgium is even in first coming down the straightaway. They move another team in a second, and the official grabs Belgium around the midsection and pulls him up, not to lane 3, but all the way up to lane 4, and had his arm around him as the exchange was coming in.
What? What?
Look,
I'm sure that Belgium, did they
w-
win or did they get second?
They got second, they got in, and then ironically beat United States for the World Championship.
Yeah. Huh.
So
That boggles the mind. What the fuck, dude?
and it was interesting because Americans qualified relatively easy. They won that heat by about a second, which if you look, that second surely was Belgium being dragged off.
Yeah.
So, but they won. I think it was anchored by Matt Bowl from Bowling was in it. Trevor Bassett from Ohio. I don't remember the other two runners, but Trevor Bassett for the last few World Championships and Olympics has been a part of the 4x4. I think he's a world champion silver medalist in the 300 hurdles or 300 hurdles, right?
Indoor?
Outdoor. There's no 400 hurdles outdoor? Yeah. So he's obviously, if you're a 400 hurdler, like you can just run the 4 relative, right. And so Trevor Bassett was either the second or the third leg. He dropped out, so Noah Lyles, USA wanted Noah Lyles to run the 4x4.
Huh.
And we weren't even, we couldn't sniff them in that. By the time the anchor leg came around, they essentially needed probably, I would say, a 2.5 to a 3 second lead to be able to hold on. Yeah. They had a 1 second lead and got smoked in the final leg.
So who was the anchor for us?
For US?
Yeah.
I don't remember how the whole thing went as far as Noah Lyles was second leg.
Okay.
Which is where you would put the worst leg.
Yeah. That's surprising. He's got the speed. I don't know. I mean, obviously he might not have the endurance to go the 400.
He didn't look bad, but you've run in enough competitive races. The second leg is arguably the worst leg. Yeah. It's the weakest runner on your team. Best leg is anchor. Second best is leadoff.
Yeah.
And then that also then depends on if you're good out of the blocks, not good out of the blocks, depending on how long the event is. But just for the sake of simplicity, your best is your anchor. Second best is first leg. Third best would be your third leg. And your worst runner out of those 4, who's probably still really good, would be your second leg. Yeah. So, but where you win races is in the second and third leg. Typically, everybody has a really good anchor. But if your second and third person is significantly better than the other team's bottom end of their group, relay. That's where you win the race.
100%.
So I thought it was really weird that they put Noah Lyles in there.
Maybe he just wanted to see what he had.
I've never heard of Noah Lyles running a 400.
I haven't either. But the fact is, he ran, 1931? 200? He's got some speed.
I know, he did not look comfortable the second lap.
Yeah, I would imagine not. Did he go out just crazy hot?
No, but you could tell the difference, in particular in indoor, because it's it's so definitive, the 2 laps, 200, 400.
Yeah.
That Like he just was not moving the same. It wasn't like he was rigging up, but people were like moving on him with relative ease. And you saw him pace himself in the first lap and then just struggling still, like any way you skin it, doubling the length of any race is like that's a tall order.
It is. Yeah.
So go check that out. It was the craziest damn thing that I've ever seen.
Maybe he's gearing up to. I mean, he just went down in distance. His 60 meters is getting really good. I know he got second, right next to Coleman, but maybe he's gearing to go like up all the way up to the 400 as well. Just be a monster at all of it. I mean, to get practice at it, to experience it is, it's helpful.
So it could be a prep for the Olympics for him to get, say, in theory, if he really went hog in Paris, that would be the 100, the 200, the 4x1, 4x2, and 4x4. So if you had an opportunity, so could that in theory be like testing him to see if he could get 5 gold medals, which in theory the U.S. Olympic Committee would just be, they would die for that. For somebody to get 5 gold medals in track and field is unheard of.
Yeah.
So, but to me, honestly, it was less about him running in the 4x4. And it was more about that prelim with Belgium. You've got to watch it. It reminded me of your story of your DMR, where calling it, like officials sometimes just don't do it well.
They don't, and I know firsthand.
So, but he said he was allowed to speak immediately after, and he said they told me to do this in the headphones, and I was doing what I was told. And then miraculously, he was never heard of from again. Like he wasn't allowed to say anything else. And so I'm sure there's some speculation that they were trying to get US to win and figure, the whole thing seemed awfully weird.
It's just super weird. I mean, US would have gotten second anyway, right? Even without, because they won. So they would have been second behind, because the US wasn't like...
Yeah, but what if Belgium didn't get second? What if they got third and then had to petition in? That's a coin flip at best.
Yeah. But what you said was that they were helping U.S. So the U.S. would have been second anyway. Dependent, if at least second.
I get it. So, but if you getting Belgium, who's the defending world champions, out of the race by getting them into third.
You meant by helping U.S. win the whole thing.
Correct.
I got you. Now I'm catching what you're throwing. Now we're seeing eye to eye.
I was playing chess. You were playing checkers.
I've been playing a lot of chess, and I'm not good at all. I picked up an app on my phone, and I've just been playing nonstop, and I'm just awful.
All right. Watch that video.
I'm going to watch that video. I'm going to look
Send me these preposterous things you're talking about in the 100 meters.
I'm going to let you know.
Okay, Jeremy.
All right, Bradford.
Love you, bud.
Love you, dude.